to take it from the macro landscape and really to drill down and really to make this story come to life for all of you. For you to visualise what it looks, feels and is to set up in Ireland. And again, we'd like to look at this from a very real perspective and to look at the opportunity Ireland presents, but also to look at the potential challenges of setting up in Ireland and what the potential challenges are around scaling operations in EMEA through Ireland. So we want this to be an honest conversation so you can take away some practical advice and again to look at what Ireland has to offer. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our two panellists. So our first panellist is Gina O'Reilly, who is COO of Nitro. And our entourage at the back. Gina, you're very welcome. The story goes, Gina and I actually met in this room this week 1 year ago for the first time. We sat at that table in the corner and Gina sat down. She was a guest of Deirdre Moore at the IDA, and Deirdre came with her colleague Mike, head of revenue. Actually, it's a cool title now, head of growth. I think that's a daily title. So the two came to consider Ireland. I think we were considering multiple locations at the time, Gina. And Gina sat down and you made one comment to me, Gina, at the time. The comment was that you were conscious that you were Irish and you didn't want to play the Irish card and to drive Ireland as an internationalisation location because of your Irish roots. You wanted it to stand on its own 2 feet. And I think that's, from our perspective, what we're saying, that we aren't looking or asking for investment because we're Irish. It just happens to be a great location to invest. So I'd like to see how that story has developed since that conversation a year ago in a second, Gina. So you're very welcome. Our second guest, we're delighted to have Suresh Khanna, who is Senior Vice President of Worldwide Sales in AdRoll. You're very welcome. So look, probably two of the coolest, more exciting companies to come to Ireland in the last 6 months. I'm personally delighted to have you here, guys, and really looking forward to drilling down into a few different topics. But one thing you have done, in my view, and seeing it working in business locally in Dublin, is your organisations have come out of nowhere. Within 6 months, you've built a reputation as being an exciting startup, and you've moved it to being a stand-up brand locally in the marketplace. And that's a credit to you, and I'd like to understand how you've done that. So again, I'll just ask each of you to introduce your business, perhaps, just to give us a bit more colour in terms of contextualise the discussion. So Suresh, do you mind opening?
Yeah, sure. So thank you for having me. Excited to be here. I think I wasn't at this event a year ago, but it was about a year ago that we made our first trip to Dublin to start scouting for our operation. So it's a little bit crazy to be up on stage talking about it so quickly. So AdRoll is the world's largest retargeting platform. It's a form of online advertising. We've got about 400 employees across the world in San Francisco, New York, Dublin, and we launched Sydney a few weeks ago. I joined the company about 2 years ago, and I'm responsible for global revenue for the business.
Thanks, Suresh. Gina?
My name is Gina O'Reilly. I'm CEO at Nitro. We're a digital documents company, so we're all about helping businesses collaborate, share, sign documents much easier. We are an Australian-founded company. We still have an office in Melbourne, now headquartered here in San Francisco. We have about 450,000 customers worldwide, so 450,000 businesses run Nitro in about 195 countries. We have about 140 employees worldwide, so headquartered here in San Francisco with office in Melbourne, Dublin now, and we also have development operations in St. Petersburg and in Nitro, Slovakia.
Just to take that point in terms of your international locations, so I'd like to direct this question at you, if I may. What were the factors behind the decision to internationalise? Was it because, as the initial panel mentioned, was it because of venture backing? Was it following a particular model? And my second part to that question is, what countries came on your radar at that point?
Yeah, so our model is we target small, medium, and large advertisers across the world. We have about 15,000 customers buying from us in 110 countries. And so for us, we were already in an international business before we had any boots on the ground, outside the States. So as we were thinking about our model, Google was really our inspiration. Performance advertising, and if you follow where performance advertising dollars are, Europe's by far the next biggest market after the US. So it was very clear to us we wanted to move into Europe. From then, it was a decision on, well, I guess I had come from Google. I knew a lot about how sort of the Irish marketplace worked. We felt like Ireland was just an absolute powerhouse from the perspective of being able to very quickly scale across Europe and be calling into numerous countries over the phone from one office. So the sort of vast multilingual skills was really important to us. Clearly very top talent in the Dublin and broader Irish marketplace. And then it was important for us to have, so we were voted the best place to work in San Francisco last year. And it was very important to us to have a similar experience in Europe. We wanted to be the best place to work wherever we went in Europe. And we were able to put all of our employees in one office, calling into the whole of Europe with one leader and one set of values and culture was really important to us. So Ireland hit on all of this.
Very good. I'd actually like to come back and maybe do a deeper dive in terms of two of those topics you mentioned. One, talent, and two, culture. To your colleagues who are recently part of our culture club back in Dublin, and the videos good at the Taoiseach, but the two principals of Nitro and AdRoll got selfies with the Taoiseach, went viral, so good access to government, I think, is important as well. If I just move to the same, or the second part of that question on to you, Gina. So when you guys looked to internationalise, you met with the IDA, and can you just talk me through the support you got from the IDA, and how you guys fixed the location as being Dublin above all other locations?
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, when we attended this event last year, we were kind of only half thinking of Ireland. In fact, we weren't really thinking about going into Europe this early at all. We were thinking we'd probably expand in Asia. And I met Deirdre Moran from the IDA back in March, and I think this event was in April. And we, similar to Suresh and AdRoll, a lot of our business has always been in Europe. So about 30 to 35% of Nitro's business is in Europe. So Europe's obviously, a natural destination for us, but we've never had boots on the ground, with the exception of a partner channel. And so that was April. Came to this event. We had our first kind of recon trip. We were looking at both London and Dublin in June. The stark contrast between the IDA's colleagues in London or the UK's version is really chalk and cheese. So we had a good experience in London, but we had a fantastic experience in Dublin. And I think the IDA, and I know Suresh would agree with this, we call them, the concierge of Ireland. They really roll out the red carpet and just make it easy, and you don't normally put easy and government in the same sentence, but they really have to be commended for what they do for companies like ours. And it's everything from, introductions to service providers, when you need them, whether it's business entity setup, visas for landing team, pretty much anything that we need. Deirdre's always at the other end of the phone, and it's been incredibly helpful. So from that visit in June, we decided on Dublin, and we announced our office with AdRoll actually at the end of October. So 4 months from initial travel, and I think Suresh's experience probably even a little shorter, or as short in terms of timing.
Yeah, it's funny as we've looked at other markets after Dublin. We've been looking around in these other places saying, well, where's the IDA equivalent in these markets? And it's a really different experience because I think you just get, it's easy to very quickly form an opinion on how to do business in Ireland, largely because of the IDA. They do a fantastic job.
Yeah, and just to add to that too, Zenon mentioned, the four T's, and I really feel like the IDA need to add a fifth T, whether it's, I would say treatment, the royal treatment, except that might not go down well in Ireland.
Know your audience, Gina.
So I really do feel like that is a huge factor, to have all of that information at your fingertips, and even for the talent was huge for us, and probably the biggest hold to Ireland. And I think there's a misconception about the tax and what that means to a company like ours, or a company like AdRoll's. We're reinvesting every single dollar of profit we make into the company. So tax is kind of irrelevant for a business of our size at this stage. It's nice, and it will become more relevant, but I think talent is really first and foremost. And I think the track record has actually developed that talent pool. So
well, let's take it from there maybe. So you only pay tax on profit, okay? So that's probably not as relevant or as a big of a hook. If you just take the story from when you've decided to invest and locate in Ireland. So both of you announced during the Web Summit in October, if I recall. And Suresh, you guys announced 100 jobs.
Yep.
Yeah. And you appointed Marius Smith, who's an ex-Googler. So again, two questions. I like two questions, Suresh. So first question, how has it gone since, in terms of the scaling, since within 6 months? I know you had an announcement last Monday to give an update on that, which makes it very real. And two, the guys spoke about cluster, and Seven mentioned the cluster of the established multinationals and the availability of talent, which we'll come on to in 1 second. How important was, I guess, appointing somebody coming from a high-performance US multinational company? How important was that to your business in terms of establishing operations and establishing the culture?
I would say it's the single most important thing we did was finding the right leader to build out a large-scale office with a great culture. And especially being a company like an AdRoll or Nitro, we may be less known on first entry into Ireland, so it was very important for us to make waves and sort of announce our presence. So getting Marius was the head of UK SMB at Google, and that was a really important hire for us. From there, we've been able to hire a huge number of very talented people. So I think we hired Marius formally in June, maybe, and then there was about a 3-month garden leave, which was absolutely agonizing, where we just sat around and waited for him to sit at home and tend to his garden before he could actually start working with us. In the interim, we picked 3 ambassadors from San Francisco, sent them out to Dublin, had a very quick immigration and visa process, which was a delight. They landed in August. Marius started October. We had about 15 or 20 people by the end of December already hired, and then we're at about 55 now, with plans to be north of 100 by the end of the year. So it's been a very fast ramp. We've been absolutely delighted with the quality of talent. I'd say there's been a base of people that came from that tier of Facebook, Google, Twitter, very prestigious companies, and then there's been, I'd say the vast majority has been people that didn't come from that world, that were just really, really talented, Irish and European talent that would happen to be in Ireland or was looking to move to Ireland. So
very good. And if I just move that on, so Gina, you guys set up in Clandor, in the serviced office. A lot of our clients are based there.